Slime plus Ninja equals my platformer fighting game, where you play as a green ninja slime who uses a katana and grappling hook to take the revenge of his family. So, my idea for this game is... Wait, what? Do you think I have an idea? Of course I don't. What do you think? Without having any idea about what I'm doing, I started working on the movement. First I made the horizontal movement and jumping, then added a double jump, because why not? I made sure that the controls are really responsive by several ways, like Coyote timer, which activates when player goes off of the floor, so if they press the jump button after a few frames of leaving the floor they would be still able to jump. Buffer timer, imagine you're playing the game and you press the jump button a few frames before hitting the ground. That would be frustrating and most of players would think that the game missed their input, but they just pressed a few frames earlier. So buffer timer is the solution here. Basically, if the player pressed the button while not on floor, we start the buffer timer, and once player hits the ground and the buffer timer isn't stopped yet, we apply a jump. Very simple, right? I made a small but useful tool that changes the movement parameters like speed, acceleration, gravity, and so on. With that done, I guess I have a good movement base to start adding other mechanics. So, I started with the dash, because it's the easiest one. The dash simply works like this. When player presses the dash button, he gets a high momentum, just as simple as that. Next, we have the grappling hook. So, I have an area that gets the hookable objects, so when the player clicks the grappling button, we get the nearest hookable object and hook it, and when the button released we unhook the player. By the way, by mixing dash with grappling, you can do crazy stuff, really crazy. If you don't know, ninja always do wall jumps. Since Ryu is a ninja, so he needs a wall jump, so basically, I made it, and of course, I also made wall slide, because ninja stuff. Do you know what ninja also do? Climbing walls. So, now if the player pressed the climb button while he is on wall, he goes up, but he can't climb forever, so I made an energy bar for climbing, so players don't climb forever. Now the movement mechanics is pretty much done, so I got to work on another crucial mechanic of the game, which is combat. I came up with different attack ideas, but while coming up with them I got an idea for the player character design. So I started drawing him. It was very simple, just a green slime with a hat and katana sword. But first, I needed to pick a color palette, so I found this cool one in the internet. Thanks for those guys. I drew him, and the style I chose for this game was vector art, because it's a lot easier than the pixel shit. Then I worked on the combo. I started with the basic on-floor combo. Simply it's a combo formed by 3 attacks. Then I made an air attack which the attack player will do while in air. And finally the hook attack. It works like the normal hook in the way which we find the nearest object. But if the nearest object is an enemy, instead of swinging we will apply a high velocity to the direction of the enemy. And when the player is close enough, we do an air attack, and of course, unattach the hook. With those attacks done, I started juicing up the game. I made a slash effect for the katana, some bouncy animations for the player character, ghost effect for dash, and of course some particles for jumping and dashing. But katana is useless without enemies, so I brainstormed some ideas, and came up with 2 ideas for enemies. A ninja throws shurikens, and another ninja uses a katana. So I got to work on the shuriken ninja. I made that he could throw shurikens at 8 directions, just like those on the compass. But you can attack to reflect his shuriken, or just dodge it. Then I made him moves towards the player, and of course, made some animations for him. But while testing it, I feel like the combat is static, simply because when the player attacks he stops. And when an enemy got hit he also stops, so to fix that, I made that the player can move while attacking, but on the other hand, I made that the enemy get knocked back when getting hit. So now, the player moves and the enemy gets knocked back. I also made a knockback for the player, and hurt animation, and of course, a health bar. So now, I can have a battle with the ninja. That's it for today's video, but you can still watch this video, where I made the worst game ever.